kicking off the card of just a stacked week of fights. I mean, we have 8 days and 3 cards for the UFC from Jacksonville, Florida, and kicking off a card that has Alistair Overeem and Walt Harris in the main event. We have Song Yadong taking on Marlon Vera. And Matt, I say it's interesting for a lot of reasons because Song Yadong, when he came into the UFC, he was coming over from WLF wars in China. And you don't really know what you're going to get from some of the smaller promotions. Lots of finishes over there. He comes into the UFC, wins his first 4 fights, 3 of them by finish, beats Alejandro Perez in his last win. And in his last fight, it was a draw against Cody Stamann, a guy who is a standout wrestler and one of the better fighters at bantamweight. We've seen Cody Stamann have good fights against good competition. So it kind of matches up well, and you get a good understanding of what Song Yadong can do in a really good bantamweight division in the UFC. But he's taking on Chito Marlon Vera, a guy who's on an absolute tear in his own right. What can you tell me about these two guys, and why is this fight to me is way under the radar?
Oh yeah, this is probably going to be fight of the night that no one's really talking about. It's really interesting though because both guys kind of played at the strengths of the other guy's weakness. Song Yadong, we saw that in the Stamann fight, and I understand Stamann's a really, really good wrestler, but Song Yadong wasn't very good at getting back up to his feet once he was taken down. And with a guy like Marlon Vera, I know he's not the same level of grappler, or he's a very different style of grappler, I should say, than Cody Stamann. Stamann's very much position over anything, and let me get to my good spots, and then I'll go for damage. Marlon Vera on the ground is so hard to deal with. He's going for Darish chokes, he's going for arm bars. There's a lot he's going to be throwing up at you, and he's got really good ground and pound too. But if you watch Marlon Vera's losses, and even in some of the moments where he's had in some of his fights, he's very well known as sort of a slow starter. He has trouble with guys who have really, really crisp boxing, and that's something Song Yadong brings to the table. His hand speed is absurd. And in the Alejandro Perez fight, he went out there and basically just threw one right straight and knocked him out cold. It's a very interesting fight, like I said, because Marlon Vera on the ground is quite a bit better than Song Yadong, but on the feet, Yadong is so dangerous, especially with his hand speed, that I don't really know whose strength's going to be able to win this one.
And this is something that we've talked about in a lot of the different Marlon Vera predictions. Of course, we did one for the April 18th card where Vera was supposed to be taking on Ray Borg, which would have been a totally different fight. In steps Song Yadong. So you have to consider that. The fact that he was preparing for just mainly a wrestler in Ray Borg to a powerful and crisp boxer in Song Yadong. And that's the other thing. Marlon Vera, not typically a quick starter. It's usually a slower burn with him.
And that's what I think. If this fight ends in the first round, it's going to be because Song Yadong knocked out Marlon Vera. If the fight goes past that first round, though, and we've seen it in a lot of Vera fights, he gets stronger as the fight goes on, especially that third round. He kind of just throws everything at you going for the finish, which is, as a fan, that's kind of what you want out of your fighter. If they're down 2 rounds, you want them to go for that finish at the end. I don't know where Song Yadong is, though, in the division. It's very odd, because the first time that he did fight a really high-level guy in Cody Stamann, we saw what his strengths were, but we saw he had some pretty serious weaknesses, too. Marlon Vera, I think, is a little bit more well-rounded than Song Yadong, but the thing Song Yadong does well, I think kind of overpowers all that. And this breaks my heart to say. I think Song Yadong is going to win.
In terms of the odds, you have Song Yadong as a favorite, minus 180, Marlon Vera plus 145. On Tapology, out of 103 votes, limited sample size, 61% are picking Vera to win, and those are split up between submission, knockout, and decision, which is, the way that Marlon Vera wins. It's typically by any fashion. He's a really late bloomer to the game, too. I mean, these guys, both young guys with a lot of experience, like both under the age of 26 and tons of fights. I'm going to agree with you, though. The crisp boxing, the quick starts from Song Yadong, if he's able to capitalize quickly on Marlon Vera, I think he's going to be able to get the win. This is another guy that, and I know I've said it in some of these videos, but you talk about high ceilings in a deep division. I think both of these guys have really high ceilings, but I think Song Yadong is one of those guys that there were a lot of question marks when he came into the UFC. Incremental upticks in competition every time. We've seen what he can do, and he's passed those challenges. Even a draw against Cody Stamann, to me, is a big one-up over just a finish over Alejandro Perez. So for me, I'm going to be taking Song Yadong, but a great fight.
Oh, yeah, this is going to be probably fight of the night, just depending on how the main event goes, of course, but this fight I could not be more excited for.
Really looking forward to it. You're going to want to keep it locked in with Fight Night picks. We've got predictions for the rest of the card for all 3 cards in 8 days, so you're going to want to keep it locked in with us. And as we always say, Matt, with Fight Night picks, let's get into it.